Hey everybody, it's Debbie with Tailored by Debbie. If you're catching this part of my video, you're probably catching the replay. If you happen to be catching the replay, please type in hashtag replay so I'll know you were here and I can thank you for watching. I am live on Facebook and on YouTube, and I have my comments pulled up over here on my second device so I can see comments from both Facebook and YouTube. If you are watching today, I appreciate you watching. I this week worked on hello, Creshelda. How are you, my friend? I made this little snow dog this week, and I've had several people message me and reply to the comments on my post where I posted this little guy, and they said, "Show me how you made it." So today I'm going to show y'all how I made my snow dog, and I'm going to tell you everything, all the supplies you'll need to make it, and all those things. I am on my segment of Craft Round the Clock. In my description box, I put the link for the group over on Facebook. So please be sure to join Craft Round the Clock, where you can watch all of the wonderful creators in one place. Hey, Tracy, how are you, sweet friend? Hello, hello. Y'all like my beautiful warrior mark? And that is your reminder, too, to go get your skin checked, y'all. Go get your skin checked by a dermatologist. I am thankful and blessed that they caught that place on my face. Hello there, Bell's Creative Studio. Welcome on in, my friend. And they were able to remove it 2 days after my diagnosis. I was there for surgery because I had an aggressive form. Um, I say aggressive, an infiltrative rare form of basal cell carcinoma that can um, infiltrate into the muscle and bone. And I'm glad they went ahead and scheduled me because it was moving toward my left eye. I'm going to take my glasses off so y'all can see how close it was to my left eye. And they did the Mohs procedure where they shave off some and look at it under a microscope and all that. And they assured me they got it all. So thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. But we're going to learn. I'm going to show y'all how I made this cute little guy. Look at his tail. His tail cracks me up. The tail and his little tongue. Y'all. Okay. Yes. Thank you so much, sweet friend. It's kind of raised my awareness because I sure didn't know it was cancer. My husband had noticed a place on my back, a mole that he was concerned about. So that's what I went for. And then she said that was fine, but she did the, head to toe skin check and said, "Oh, I don't like the way this looks on your face." And I was like, "Really?" Because it was the same color as my skin, y'all. It wasn't dark, it wasn't a mole, it was just a raised area. Hello, Math Junior over on YouTube. How are you doing today? All right, guys. This is what I used for the body of my snow dog, and I did pick these up last year at Hobby Lobby. You can see the ticket there. They usually repeat merchandise from year to year, and the furry ornaments are very trendy, so I feel sure they're going to have them again this year. I did not pay that for them, y'all. Y'all know me. At the end of the season, I buy things when they're at a discount. So you're going to need a large one for the body. And then they have a 6-pack of them as well. These large ones are 4 to a pack. And then this is what I used for his head. And let me get that over here for you in case you want to screenshot the ticket number and see if you can order them online through Hobby Lobby. Okay, so I used a small one for the head. Now, for the little boots, I bought these last year at Hobby Lobby as well. And every year, y'all, for several years, they've had different types of boot ornaments at Hobby Lobby. They also carry them sometimes at Dollar Tree. I've seen them at Walmart, all over. That this time of year, you'll be able to find it's an ornament. And I'll show you the package that these came in. They came 4 to a box. There's the ticket. These are from Hobby Lobby. Ooh, that's a big ticket, isn't it? And I bought these at the end of season last year, and there's 4 in a package. Okay. So you'll be able to make four of these with the big one and the small one. But I tell you, even if you made one with just the small, I think they'd be cute too. As you know, the same size head as the body. If you just bought a package of the small, that'd be cute too. So look for boot ornaments. These happen to have the ice skating things on them, but y'all, these just pull out so easy. See that? And that's what I did to turn them into a pair of snow boots. So I could glue it down onto a wood, and I just used one of those wood discs from the Dollar Tree, painted it hazelnut color, and I glued him down to that because these are just styrofoam. They're so lightweight. Hello there over on YouTube. I see you. Sineth, I'm sure I'm going to not say your name correctly, but Sinethan Kamalo, thank you so much for being here. Hey Lori, hey Tanya's heartfelt crafts. Hello there. He would be cute skating too. The problem with it is though, these are so lightweight. I wasn't sure how to keep him standing up because I actually glued him to this wood to have something to weigh him down. Good afternoon, Anita. Hello, Kelly Wooden. How are you this afternoon? Okay, so that's what I used for the boots. Okay, for the hat, these are also ornaments from Hobby Lobby, and they've had them the last 2 years. I haven't been yet this year to see the Christmas stuff, but usually they repeat and they may have them in a new pattern, but it's just a little hat and it's an ornament. If you can't find these, y'all, you can even take a pair of knitted gloves and cut the fingers off and then tie some jute right near where you cut the fingers of the glove off and turn it into a hat. Take the hand part or the wrist part, and pull it over and then make a pom-pom by gathering that top part together. So don't get discouraged if you can't find the exact same thing that I'm using. Be creative. But these do fit. They do fit the small ornament very well for the hat. I think it would not fit on the big one, but it does fit these small ones. Jenga blocks, it might, honey. It sure might. That's a great idea. Hello, Denise Bertucci Gross. How are you? Hey, Lori. Hey, Rita. Thank you. I'm going to show y'all how I made him. All right, so that's some of the supplies. Now for his eyeballs. Look at those cute little eyeballs, y'all. At Michael's, and I think any craft store or even Amazon or Temu, you can buy these doll eyeballs, y'all. Look at that. And I didn't use the white pieces. I just used the little screw in, and I don't even screw them in, but they have them in the store ones I bought. These are brown and black. I don't know if that's picking up real well. That's small, which I didn't use on this one. I used the small ones on my cat. But then they have larger ones, different sizes. Let's see if it says 6 craft eyes. Let's see. These are a quarter, 0.4 inch. So not quite a half an inch in diameter. These are the ones I used, I'm pretty sure. Yes, but I used brown yesterday, and today we're going to use the blue because I only have small left in brown. The small ones are 3/10 of an inch in diameter, and I got them at Michael's. Okay, in the doll making supplies, but just look for doll eyes. Like if you're searching online, Amazon, look for doll eyes. And this is kind of what they look like. They come with if you're making a doll, you can put that white thing on the inside and then screw it in and they won't come out. But all I did was punch it through because underneath these, if you can't find these exact ones, look other places and you can kind of feel if you mash that it's styrofoam underneath there. You want it to be styrofoam, not hard plastic underneath, so you can stick your eyes in there and, you know, cut a little place to stick his tongue. So that's key. Make sure whatever's up underneath, they're really lightweight. And it's styrofoam, okay, up underneath the fur ornaments. All right, let's go ahead and get started. The eyeballs, the nose. Oh, yeah, the nose. I bought at Hobby Lobby a bag in their wood pile section, just a bag of all different shapes. And I'm showing you all the shapes so you kind of know what to look for. They're just all different wood shapes. There's ovals and triangles, and then like a teardrop shape, squares, big and small, triangles, big and small. And then there's these little hearts. Okay, they're real thin. This is what I used for the nose. Okay, and I'll show y'all how I did his nose when we get to the nose. But if you have any little wooden hearts, as long as you have a way to cut the point of the heart off, you could use any heart shapes that you have. You could even cut one out of like foam, you know, the craft foam, if you had black craft foam or black felt. So don't get discouraged if you cannot find the exact items. This is to inspire you. Hello, Kefany. Hey, Teddy Bear. Hello, Irma. Hello, Maureen. Honey, how is your cough? I'm so sorry. Hello, American Storm. How are you doing over on YouTube? Hello, Belinda. Welcome on in, y'all. Okay, another supply that I use, and this is optional, but I use what's called a U pin, and you can find these at Walmart or on Amazon or wherever. These are in the floral making supplies section. It's just a bent pin that I used to stick down to attach the ear, as well as hot glue. Now you could just use straight pins. You could use what's called a T-pin, or you don't have to use a pin. You can just glue. But because my stuff that it gets put in shops and kids tug and pull on stuff, I've been in the shop before eating lunch at the restaurant, and I saw a kid pick up my um, beaded garland, and she was just swinging it around like that. And I was like, oh, dear Lord, please don't break, you know. But anyway, you know, your stuff's going to get picked up and mistreated. So anything like that that I'm just gluing, I like to secure into the styrofoam with a U-pin. So I bought those at Walmart, and they're just called U-pins. They're kind of in the shape of a U. The fur ornaments came from Hobby Lobby, Teddy Bear. Thank you, Vicky, for sprinkling. Hey, Wanda, how are you doing? Oh, thank you so much, Kefany. I love you big too, my friend. All right, so the first thing we need to do, these ornaments come with like a leather strap to hang it from. And y'all, I saved that to make the cat whiskers, the leather. That's what I cut my little cat whiskers out of yesterday. And pull, you just pull out that pin that it's attached with right out of the center of the ornament. Okay, on both of those, just pull them out. They just pull out pretty easy. And then I put those to the side because I save everything. You know, you never know when you're going to need something like that to stick down in a styrofoam ornament to hang a hanger from. So that's the first step. And then we're going to do the same thing with the hanger on our little boots. The boot ornaments also came from Hobby Lobby, and it's just kind of glued on top. Okay. And they glued some of the fringe. So I'm just going to cut that off. And there's that. They just had it tied in a knot and glued on the top. So that's where we are with this. Now, what I like to do is use a dowel rod. And I buy packs of dowel rods, usually either at Dollar Tree or Walmart. And I'm going to take this dowel rod, and then I'm also going to use my X-Acto knife. This one came from the Dollar Tree. You're welcome. We are making the snow dog, Deb Cobb. We're making my snow dog. Several of you, after I posted a picture, said, show us how to make it. So we're doing that today. All right, right in the middle, right where we just pulled out the hangers from, I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and we're just going to cut an X in the top. And that's going to make it easier for the dowel rod to go down in there. So I'm going to dry fit now, and I want to go down. The styrofoam's kind of hard to get through, so you want to go ahead and dry fit your dowel rod before you squirt hot glue or put hot glue on this. I like to dry fit, make sure I have, a good bit, almost to the bottom of the ornament. And then where I just stuck that, I'm going to take my glue tool and I'm going to squirt one full squirt of hot glue down in there. And I'm not going to lift up my hot glue tool right away, because if I do, all that glue will just ooze right out the top. If you wait just a second, it'll settle down into that hole, and then we can insert the dowel rod into the ornament. Okay, then I'm going to take my wire cutters. You could also use tin snips or whatever. And I'm going to leave maybe 2.5 to 3 inches. Got to get these open big enough around this big old dowel rod. Not that much, about that much. Just want to make sure, it'll go down into my other ornament. We're going to cut that off. These I got from Home Depot, but you can also go to my Amazon favorites photo album. Sometimes, a lot of times I've noticed they're cheaper on Amazon. They're Crescent brand. I've had them for over 2 years now. They're just as sharp as the day I got them. I love them. They cut everything, y'all. Okay, so now we want to go back to where we pulled the hanger out from. And the reason I want to go there is because all the fur, they cut kind of in a, I don't know. I don't know what shape to describe. Almost like a slice of pizza, but doubled, And then they glue those pieces of fur around this is how they've attached it. And I want to go to where all that fur meets together. And if you just go back to where you pulled your wood dowel out, you're in the middle. All right, so we're going to cut another X. That just makes it easier to poke your wood dowel through. If you don't cut an X, it's really hard to get that down in there. Now where I just cut that X, I can feel it with my finger. And what in the world is this doing? Hang on one second, y'all. My password thing's popping up. Let me type that in and get that out of the way so I can see your comments. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you so much. Okay, now I just took my eye off of it. Gotta find where I just just did that, y'all. There it is right there, I bet you. Let me just go ahead and cut a slit in there. Yeah, that's where it was. Okay, then we're gonna I like to take this and turn it upside down and stick it down in. Okay, and you want to push it all the way to where that's going to be seated on top. And then, whoop, that glue's not dry, and it's pulling that out of there. Okay. And then we're going to take our glue and we're going to squirt one thing of glue down in here. You could do 2, but just don't pick it up right away, or that glue will just, like Mount Rushmore, it'll just come out the top like a gusher. I'm going to go ahead and do 2. Just wait a few seconds and then push it back down in there. Okay, and then that'll be drying that quick. Here's our head and our body, y'all. Using these furry ornaments makes this so easy. They came that way, Deb. These came from Hobby Lobby. They're furry ornaments. Okay, there's small ones, 6 to a pack, and then large ones, 4 to a pack. And they came from Hobby Lobby. Is where I got these. Okay, and I also got the boot, and then I just pulled the ski blades off the bottom. These also came from Hobby Lobby. All right, now if I take this and just try to glue it on top, it's not going to sit down on these boots very well at all. So what I do is I get my X-Acto knife and we're going to cut a little concave area. Okay, not all the way over to the edge. We're going to start right here and just take that X-Acto knife and go around. And initially, I'm just cutting around the perimeter of the area that I want to take out. It's just styrofoam, y'all. So it's real easy. Be careful not to cut your finger because it, it slides through this. If you have a sharp blade, it slides through the styrofoam pretty good. Okay, once you kind of have where you want to take that out, where are my pliers? You can take your pliers and then just kind of start pulling the styrofoam out. Just go down where you just cut that little, I use pliers just because it's easier for me to get my fingers are too wide to get down in there. The jewelry pliers work even better, but once you start it, you can kind of dig it out just with your fingers. Just take where you just cut the side and dig down and just take some of that styrofoam out the top. Okay, see what I'm doing? We're just kind of, and then when you get it like that, you want to go all the way over to the edge on the back, and you want to take that X-Acto knife, just kind of like you're cutting an apple or something, and just kind of shave off. Okay, gonna cut it. Did it with the X-Acto knife, and now I'm just kind of cutting off that excess. Like that. See where it's kind of dipping down. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is not going to show. It's not even going to show. But we want to dig some of that out, so when we sit that round ornament on there, that it's going to fit the top contour of these boots better. Okay, just like that. Okay. And you can take your scissors and even it up a little bit. And try not to cut the trim. You can take that trim and just kind of pull it over. It's just glued on there with light glue too. So we're just gonna, and then kind of sit it on there. Whoop, I think I need to put some more glue in that top one. It keeps popping off. Or down in this one. This one popped right out, y'all. Let me put some more glue down in there. Let me put 3 squirts. That should be more than enough. That should be more than enough. Stick him back down in there. Okay, then we're just going to take that, and you see when we sit it on there now, it's not just sitting up on top like this where you know, you can see all the way around. It's sitting on those boots good and secure. Okay, we are going to stick a dowel rod in this too, though. We're not just going to use glue, because I think if you just use glue and there's already a hole, it's like they knew we were going to do this, y'all, because there's already a hole when you start digging it out. See that hole? So we're just going to squirt a little bit of glue down in there. Okay. I just did 1 squirt. Then I'm going to stick my dowel rod down in there. I probably went down about that far. Okay. And then I'm going to cut this off. Let's see, probably about 1 inch, because there's already a dowel rod going down into that ornament coming from the top. You don't need much. You don't need much. Hello, Kimberly. Hello, Kathy. Hey, Jamie. How are y'all doing? Thank y'all so much for being here. Okay, guys. So we've got our furry ornaments we got at Hobby Lobby. The boots we got at Hobby Lobby. Now we're going to do the X on the bottom, just like we did. If y'all missed the beginning, you can go back. I'll have the replay listed where you can go back and watch it. Oh, I didn't have my X-Acto knife blade very tight in my holder. Hello, Stephanie. Thank you, sweetheart. Okay. Thank you, Jamie. Now we need to figure out where we want the front to be, where we want his face to be. You don't want his face to be probably where the seam is coming straight down the face. So I'm going to turn it until I find a cute spot. And I think that's kind of cute with the spots, the way the fur is. And I'm going to leave it just like that. And the reason that is important, you want to know where the front is to know which side to put the front of your boots on. Okay. So now we're going to squirt some glue down in the hole we just made up here. Hello, Rose. Hello, Virginia. Hello, Gloria. Thank y'all so much for joining me today. I have missed y'all. Okay, I'm going to squirt and then a couple squirts. And remember, we hold it there so that the glue doesn't just seep up out of there and get all over the fur. Okay, now I got to figure out where I want the front. I want the front here. So I'm going to put my boots on and we're going to go ahead and put some glue. Got to work kind of fast. We're going to go ahead and put some glue toward the inside of the edge where we just dug out some of that styrofoam so it won't like seep over the top of the boot. And then I'm just putting some kind of all over the middle. See what I just did? And then I'll even put a little bit on the wood dowel, even though we squirted some. Okay, now find my front again. And I'm going to stick that down and push it down. And we're going to hold it just a minute. Oh no, Kathy. I'm so sorry, sweet friend. Well, you might be able to find them online too. I haven't looked to see if they're if you can buy furry ornaments online. But all their Christmas is 50% off already, y'all. Okay, so I'm just kind of holding all that together. Look how stinking adorable, y'all. And see, he will stand up on his own. He will stand up on his own. But when we add the hat and everything, it gets kind of top heavy. And I'm afraid it's just going to fall over. So what I did on this one, I used one of those round discs that have the hole, the hanging little ornament things from the Dollar Tree. This is just a random piece of scrap wood that I had that I painted red and then distressed. It's just a little wood block. That's what we're going to use today to glue that down to, kind of make him have a little stand, basically. You're always looking for a reason. You sound like me, Kathy. I get in trouble when I go to Hobby Lobby because I spend too much money. I do. I see all these things and I think I have to have them, and especially in the clearance section. Okay, I'm going to get rid of all this styrofoam trash that we dug out of the boots. Okay, and we're just kind of holding this down to make sure that gets, you want to hold it until the heat, you can kind of feel the heat of the hot glue on the sides of this boot. And I just kind of hold it until that dissipates where it feels not hot. And that way you'll know that it's good and secure. And there's not going to be a gap. And you can kind of look too, but putting the wood dowel in there really, really does help make it more secure where it's not just glued to the styrofoam on the boot and on the furry part of the ornament. You can only go to the Hobby Lobby as your ward after you go to the dentist. Oh, I don't like going to the dentist either, my friend. I don't. Okay, this one is still not staying in there. So I've got a little hack that I use when that happens, just to cut a little piece of felt. Because sometimes when I dry fit and then squirt the glue, it melts the inside of that ball a little bit and makes it to where it's not going to stay. Just take a piece of felt, little strip like this, wrap it around your wood dowel. Okay, that's going to kind of fill up some of the empty space. It's also going to give that glue something else to hold on to. And then I'm going to squirt some more glue down in this hole again, and we're going to push that down in, and I'm going to pray it stays. Okay, you want to find where you want the front to be, and then just push it. Okay, that should do the trick. I don't think we'll have any problems now with that wanting to come out once it's good and dry. Just little things I've learned, trial and error over the Years. Hobby and Michael's are next door to each other where you live. Oh my word. Oh, I bet it is a dangerous block. Mine are spread apart a little bit, but they were all on the same road several miles apart. And of course, now Joann has closed. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead. I think next we'll make the ears. Let me show y'all how I made the ears. I have fur that I bought at Hobby Lobby. And it's also over there, like in the doll making section, where the felt is, the aisle with the felt in my store. It's near that. These are rectangles of felt, and they come in all different colors, all different patterns. And then I also cut up a Christmas tree skirt that I bought from Kirkland's, which is this snow leopard pattern. Now, I was thinking we might use that for this one's ears today. This is what I used for this one yesterday. And you see the solid color. I used it for his arms, his tail. I tell you what, let's just use this because I know y'all can get your hands on that or something like it. But you may not be able to find a Christmas tree skirt. I bought that several years ago after Christmas. I only bought one and it was like 90% off. And I'm kicking myself for not buying every single one they had. I went back and they were gone. And I've never seen them again. So bad on me. I should have bought them. But I was thinking, what am I going to use this for? Not thinking I could take the backing off and use the fur. And that's what I ended up doing. And I've been using that fur for lots of things. Okay. These are Hobby Lobby. And even when they're full price, they're not that expensive. Let me see if I can look. It was, I think it was $2.99. And well, it was $3.49, and then they marked it down to $2.99, and then they marked it down to 74 cents. So when they change the packaging, they will put this stuff on sale. Periodically, Hobby Lobby does that, and they'll put the same exact product out with a new packaging. So always check for those orange clearance tags. They were hanging in the regular fur section when I bought them. I've already cut a piece off the bottom. It's usually a little bit longer than this. And I use my X-Acto knife. So we're going to have to put this blade back on to cut it. I like to cut it from the back side, just cutting the backing so you don't cut through the fur. Okay, let me stick this back in here. Sorry, y'all. Make sure I don't cut my finger. I got to look at what I'm doing. Ooh. But you do want a sharp blade when you're cutting your fur. And I always recommend an X-Acto knife to cut the faux fur with. You can do it with scissors, but you'll lose some of the fur along the edges, and you'll be able to see the edges of the fur a lot of times. So it is better to do it with an X-Acto knife. I don't know why I took that whole thing off. Let me get this screwed back on. See if I can get it tight this time. Y'all grunt with me? Okay, so I'm just going to cut. Let me get a ruler because I know you're going to ask. I'm going to make his ears. Oh, let's make them 3 inches long. So I'm just measuring up 3 inches. And then I'm going to take the blade and I'm going to, oh, I need to look at which way the fur's going. See, you want, the top doesn't have any fur. That's where they cut it with scissors. See, it's a severe edge with no fur overhang. And then at the bottom, you've got this fur overhanging. See the difference? Using scissors, using an X-Acto knife. So we're going to cut with the X-Acto knife, and I want the fur hanging down at the bottom on this edge, so the bottom of his ears will have that fluffy fur. Okay, so let's just cut. We're going to cut straight across, and I'm just cutting through the backing. And if you have a sharp X-Acto knife, it's really easy just to scrape across the back and cut just the backing. Okay, so we've got that. Now I'm going to, where I just cut, I'm going to go through and pull any loose fur off. You'll always have loose fur, even when you use an X-Acto knife. See that? You don't want that coming off on your project, so just pull that off. Then this is about 3 inches on the backing. Then we're going to cut over about 2 inches. This is wider than what I did yesterday. I'll do about 1.5 inches. And I'm going to cut 2 of those for his ears. Okay, 2. There's 1. So basically this is what we've done. 1.5 by 3 inches. We're going to cut 2, and that's going to be his little ears. It doesn't have to be perfect, y'all. No Hobby Lobby, you do have a Michaels? Well, check Michaels. They might have some furry ornaments too, or look online. I mean, Hobby Lobby, I know you can order online. All right, now we're going to take some scissors because dog's ears are not squared off like that. And I have a little pair of detail scissors. I'm going to come right back here, kind of holding my scissors to an angle and try to just cut the backing the best I can and kind of round off that corner. You can do it with an X-Acto knife, but it's harder. It's harder to round it off. It's easier if you take a pair of scissors and just kind of cut the backing until you've rounded it off. See how that side's now rounded off and the other side is still kind of severe in a corner? So we're going to do this side too. Just cut through the backing. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing with the other one. Hello, my sweet cousin Gail. Hobby Lobby's further, 5 minutes. I have to drive almost an hour to get to Hobby Lobby. We have a Michaels in our town now, though, but it's a small Michaels, and they don't have that much stuff compared to the one that's an hour, about 45 minutes to an hour away. Hello, Robin from Sun in the Mountains. Thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, let's cut this corner off. Looks like it's raining outside, y'all. We need the rain, so I'm not going to complain. Okay. So there's our 2 ears. All right, let's get all these little scraps of fur out of here so they don't get on our stuff. Let's check on him. That did the trick, y'all. That did the trick by putting that piece of felt in there. That did the trick. Stay standing up. See, he fell over. Okay, so here's our 2 ears. That's the back side, and that's the front side. Aren't they cute? They're still a little bigger than what I made yesterday. All right, if you have those fold marks in the fur, you can take your heat tool and kind of blow it, and it'll get those folded. See how it's gone? The folds out just by putting a little bit of heat to it, because they fold this fur over and you can get those fold marks in it. I didn't pull all the excess fur off. I'm going to cut it. Fur's flying everywhere. But that gets those fold marks out of your fur, y'all. I don't know if you knew that or not. Hair dryer works good too. Just a little bit of heat. You don't want to get it too close if you have a real hot heat tool, because it'll melt the fur. Ask me how I know. I did it one time and it melted my fur, and I was like, oh no, not pretty. Okay, now we need the felt. Okay. You can do 2 different ways on the ears. You can either use pink felt to line the ears, or this one, this little dude, the sitting down dude. I used some furry yarn, and I really like the way this looks better than the pink felt. So I'll show you what I used. Well, I thought I had some of it out. Yes, here it is. Okay. I don't know what this kind of yarn is called, because I've had it for years, but it's like, it feels like fur, and almost just about every store that sells yarn has this type of yarn. I probably got it at Hobby Lobby or Joann's, but it feels like fake fur, y'all, but it's yarn. Okay, I just cut a piece off, and what I did to get this on there is I just squirted some glue. Let me get my big one. I've got both my glue tools here. For detail work, I like to use my small one, but for this, we can use the big one. Okay, just squirt some glue down on the back of the ear. In the center, lay this down. Let me get some finger protectors. Okay, then just tap it down into the glue. And then we're just going to go round and round until we fill up the back of the ear. Okay, nothing hard about this. This to me is easier than using the felt. But if you don't have any of this stuff, just lay this down on a piece of felt, get a pencil, draw around that back part, and try to cut out a piece of felt about the same size as your fur. Okay, and then glue it to the backing. That's another way you can do this too. And that's how I did my first one until I remembered I had this furry yarn. When I pulled it out, was it him? No, it wasn't him. It was that snowman. The second snowman I did, and I needed some other yarn, and I saw this in there, and I was like, ooh, that would be good to put on the back. And we're going to go all the way to the edge, y'all. See where you kind of have to pull the furry yarn over and put glue on the very edge and fill up that hole. We don't want that fabric backing of this fur to show. But the fake fur, okay? So we just go all the way to the edge with it. And I got to go around to this side one more time, and this ear will be done. And I just do it in small sections so I don't burn my finger, because it's hot. That hot glue will get you. It will get you, and it'll get you good. That snowman back there almost ended up in the trash. That last one with the black hat, because I kept burning my finger, and I kept getting glue where it wasn't supposed to be, and hot glue on black fabric. I don't know if you've ever tried that. It doesn't mix. It shows, and I was so over it. And finally was able to, figure out a way to pivot and fix it. Okay, so there's the back of our ear, and there's the front of our ear. I think that is stinking adorable. Then you can just kind of take the fur and just move it over and pull the fur for the back of the ear kind of toward the center. This is how I did it yesterday. Just kind of, as it's still a little bit wet back there, just kind of make all that white more toward the center of his ear, and then pull this fur kind of over it. And then his little ear, it's going to be so cute, y'all, once we glue it on. All right, I'm going to cut. Well, it doesn't matter. This doesn't matter at the top because that's going to be under the hat. So let's do the other one real quick. Oh, I'm so sorry you don't have a Hobby Lobby. It's rained in West Alabama all day. Hey, Patricia, how are you, sweet friend? Hello, Angie. Oh, apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur. Cute. Um, Hello, Linda Farmer. Hello, Patricia. How are you doing, sweet friend? Hello, Dinah. Hot glue burns do hurt, do they not, Tanya? They hurt bad. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with this ear. Glue down the center, just right down the middle, and lay this furry yarn on it. Pretty sure I got this yarn at Hobby Lobby, y'all. I buy lots of stuff at Hobby Lobby. Okay, move that fur over, and then put another line of glue. And then just kind of turn it and keep on going. Pull all that yarn over from the top. Squirt some glue. And like I said, I work in small sections. And then we're going to move it all over again on this side. Squirt some more glue. Put it down. Okay. I think one more time around and we'll have it. These little things are so cute. Even JT was like, that's cute. He liked it. Sometimes he looks at my stuff and he's like, what is it? I'm like, you can't tell what this is. He breaks my heart sometimes. What is it? I'm like, oh my word. Actually, I think there's enough on that side except right here at the top. Do your guys ever do that, y'all? Say, what is it? When you bring a craft you're so proud of to show them, and they're like, what is it? He's going to get mad at me if he hears me talking about him like that. He's going to say, why'd you say that? But it's true. It's true. I'm not saying anything that's not true. Okay, so we got that one done. Then we can just pull the fur over on the sides. Okay, I got a little bit of glue on the ear right there. And it's really, really hard to get glue out of fur. So what I usually do if that happens, y'all, is I just trim that part off. And you won't even really be able to tell. Okay, just bring some other fur over it. But glue on fur is not pretty. So, try to be careful and let that happen as least as you can. All right, so there's that ear and this ear. So now we're going to attach the ears. 3:15. Oh, golly, I'm not going to have time to finish, y'all. We only got 10 minutes. 2 minutes. So I'll stick this through. I'll go ahead and hurry up and tell y'all everything else I'm going to do. We're almost done, though. We'll put these on each side, and I'll just stick it down through the styrofoam, and then I'll put some glue on there also to support it. But y'all, how stinking cute. Cut off the excess of that yarn. We'll do the same thing with his other ear. Then I'll take this hat and I'll put a little bit of glue up under here, and I glue the hat on before I do the face, so I know where to put the eyeballs. Okay, we'll take that twine off. We'll stick that on, and then I'll lift up a little bit, glue it in sections kind of all the way around, just squirting a little bit of glue up underneath. Then I'm going to take the eyeballs, figure out where I want the eyeballs, and we'll place them, and they're just pointy, so you just stick them in there, then pull it out, put a little bit of glue in the hole, then stick the eyeball in. That's how you attach the eyeballs. For the nose, I cut the point of this heart off, and I'm just using my 10 snips. You can use regular scissors. I'm using these so I don't dull my scissors. I just cut the top of the heart off, and then I just use a black paint marker and paint it with painter's tape. Makes it real easy, y'all. Do that, and then I just paint it, and then I just hot glue that down. Okay, I'll paint it like that, and then I'll take it and go around the edges, and then I'll show you what I do to glue it down. When you're gluing your nose, you want to take the fur and pull it apart in every direction like that. Pull it up to the side and down, put a dollop of glue, not much, right there, and then just stick your nose down. To do the tongue, we go right below where we glue on the nose, and you're going to cut a slit as wide as your tongue. And then I take a piece of a flamingo leg from the Dollar Tree, just something, and I go in there and make that slit that I just made for the tongue a little bit wider. And then I take my detail hot glue tool and I squirt a little bit of glue in there. And then I take this and stick the tongue down in, and y'all, that's it. Arms, same way we did the head, the ears. I just stick some fur. And the tail, I take a piece of floral wire and glue some fur around it, just a little rectangle of fur, and then you stick the floral wire in his butt, and there's your tail. And then you just glue him down. You can add embellishments, but y'all, my time's up. I'm going to have to let y'all go. That's how you make my little snow dog, though. I hope y'all will give this a try. Please share your photos of your creations with me over on Tailored by Debbie's sharing group. I've got a photo sharing group, and I'd love to see your creations. Share them in here and Craft Around the Clock too, so we can all see. If you share them in here, tag me so I'll know you've shared your photo, and I want to see your creations. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. I love y'all, but Jesus loves you more. Get your skin checks done. We'll see y'all next week. I'll be on again Tuesday at 1:45 p.m. Eastern. I'll see y'all then. Have a great rest of your week. Bye, guys.